Let's move on. It is
Not very scary, but yes.
almost
Little scary.
November, or is November, depending on when you're listening to this, which means October has come to a close. And there were some good vidgies that came out in October. And we're doing this thing now. This is now our second month in a row. We did it, everybody. I want to talk about our favorite PC games of the month. Like, what is the single, well, you only get one, no cheating. What is the single best game you played this month?
Oh, wow.
New
Rebel
release.
Galaxy.
Rebel Galaxy.
Yep.
I still need to play that.
Yeah, it's real good.
So your review is up. We've talked about Rebel Galaxy on the show a few times, but
I keep talking.
the idea of a Han
I'm gonna
Solo
move on.
exploration style, space simmy kind of thing sounds great. How long did you play for?
I think my clock on Steam says about 25 or 26 hours.
Okay.
But some of that is all tab time.
Yeah, sure, of course.
So let's say roughly 20 hours.
And would you ever go back to it? Like, do you
yeah.
feel like there's more to be mined out of it?
I mean, literally, there's like I want to go.
So disappointed with myself.
Yeah, I do.
I thought you would set him up for that.
Yeah.
Oh, I would never do that.
You can go through and focus on mining. Yeah. You can go through and I want to focus on being a pirate.
Yeah.
This is like an elite type game, right?
Yeah.
Something on that school of design.
Yeah. Okay. So it's open world. Yeah. Go.
So
go where you want to do what
are you having
want.
fun with it, Dan?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
See, I tried to set him up for that one too by being a pirate. Yeah.
I'm going to recommend the Beginner's Guide, even though I think it's having gotten some distance from the Beginner's Guide. Last time we talked about it, I think Marty and I spoiled the vast majority of that game. Getting some distance from it and talking to more people about it, I think it's a very weird thing that I'm just increasingly conflicted about it, but it's something that I recommend. Like, you should experience this. It's a very weird thing, and I don't know that I feel positively about it, as positively about it as I did before, just thinking about it critically and thinking about Davey Wreden as a creator and the thing that he made and what he has to say and what that means to me as a player. It's a very emotionally conflicting thing, and I think that in itself is enough to say this is the most interesting thing I've played all month. And I think that most people will get something out of it. So check out the Beginner's Guide if you haven't already.
For me, Mushroom 11. It's been
a surprise hit of the month.
Yeah, super interesting puzzle game. Kind of had elements of Where's My Water and World of Goo. You basically are this magic wand ball that pushes around a big blobby fungus. It sounds weird. It is weird, but you
it
have
does
to,
sound those things.
But you have to get it through different spaces and get it through the levels. So it's just very interesting, the things that you can do with it. You can cut it in half, and it'll reform in other areas, and you can move around. And when you push it through little spaces, it kind of squeezes out real long. But yeah, it's basically like the Blob, the video game, and you get to play as moving the blob around and just trying to get it through the areas. But very, very smartly done.
It's a really interesting movement mechanic, which I've never seen before, where I guess the size of it doesn't remain constant at all times. I'm not.
Oh no, it shifts constantly. Like every time you touch it, the shape morphs.
The shape changes,
and
but
the
I think
size.
the number of blocks stay this. Well, you can make it smaller, but then it eventually grows back to the.
Okay.
To the same.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So So it's like the mass of it is constant or near constant.
Yeah.
But the act of moving it is like destroying part of it, and then it regrows opposite to that.
Exactly.
Got it.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
so
you
it's
can
very
you can
interesting.
literally, you can do it where you're moving a big hunk of it at once, or you can be very careful and shape things very finely, like almost sculpting it to get into to different areas. It's really interesting.
And it's a puzzle,
game.
2D puzzle platformer in a way, but yeah, a very unique concept. Chloe Rad reviewed that for us, and she really liked
She
it.
loved that
Mushroom
game.
11.
Mushroom 11.
I gotta try this out.
Jared, you've got the most interesting pick of the month, just without a doubt. And I'm really interested to hear more because I just installed this, and I'm really excited to check it out. And I want to know how accessible.
Okay,
is this
RPG
game.
Maker MV.
Yes.
First off, have you fooled around with RPG Maker games before?
Yes.
Okay, then so have you fooled around with VX Ace, the previous one?
No.
Okay, so this is okay, again, I'm still early on. Until you've made a full game in this, it's going to be hard to give it a total assessment.
And to be clear,
here,
this is literally not a video game. Like
no, this is a video game maker.
Yes.
RPG Maker has a long and illustrious career. Long ago, many people were stealing it back when it was only available in Japanese, and people were doing fan translations and making great games with it. And then Enterbrain, instead of being a bunch of jerks and suing people, were like, hey, people that speak English want to buy this. Let's sell it. And that worked out. So hooray. And so this is the 600th iteration of RPG Maker, but it's a welcome change in several different fronts. First, and very importantly, they upped the resolution because low resolution has been one of the problems with RPG Maker for a while. It is still relatively low, but you can do some higher resolution graphics than you did before. Please forgive my voice. Sorry about this.
falling apart. He's falling apart, everybody.
Yeah, falling apart.
We're
There
losing
we
him.
are.
He's
Yep,
choking
sorry
up
about
over
that.
this RPG.
So,
maker.
first, I'm choking up over it. So first, that feature's added. Higher resolution, which has been something people had before. I've heard that with scripting, we're going to finally be able to do correct 16:9. I haven't got it working yet, but I'm pretty sure it's going to. Second, it is more intuitively laid out than other RPG players I've used before. I really like the interface on this one. Everything is where I think it ought to be. Everything just, there's a little less kludginess built into it than there was in Ace. Third, it is optimized for making now Windows games and HTML5 games and Mac games and potentially iOS and Android games, which is a new feature. So it's adding things like a star pathfinding for your mouse. So, click on a spot and a person will walk there. Exactly. That wasn't there before. That's a really big deal because I think potentially mobile platforms are a really great place to play RPG Maker type games where somebody's just done a passion project and you want to try it out and you got a few hours there on your iPad, go for it. I like RPGs on the go.
It's great to be able to see, the progression of that kind of game experience where they're actually putting tools that are even fun to work with. Like, we've seen Super Mario Maker come out recently, which is the same thing, but Neverwinter Nights, making your own modules. And even back in the day, I used to play like Pinball Construction Set or Racing Destruction Set, like all those construction set things. Like just the ability to have your own ideas and be able to make things and then send them out to people to be able to play. It's just it's very fulfilling.
I think I'll be right at home with RPG Maker. I've used it for a long, long time. Making games is kind of a hobby. I never show them to anybody. I'm like that guy that writes books and doesn't let people read them.
I've got Twine games. I just never tell anybody about.
Twine. I love Twine.
Twine's incredible.
Oh, guys,
Twine is my game of the month.
Yeah, Twine is Twine in Form 7.
So fickle.
Twine in Form 7 is a great way to make games. Game Maker, frankly, is quite powerful if you learn the way around it.
Need to learn a little more, but yeah.
Yeah, and RPG Maker you can do a lot with. It's only good for making certain kinds of games, but don't forget that To the Moon. You guys play To the Moon?
Yeah.
That was made in RPG Maker.
I forgot about that. I was going to ask about the flexibility of what you can do with it, but
if you're willing to fool with the scripting, you can do quite a bit. People have built tactical engines for it.
Nice.
Also, it has a plug-in system. Problem is, it's brand new. It's going to be a little while before there are any plugins because they're community created. But once those come out, people can make tactical RPG engines, then all kinds of things that stretch the boundaries. But fundamentally, this is for you if you want to go back and make your Final Fantasy 13 2D top-down to SNES version. If you want to make Dragon Quest 12, that's what this is built around. It does and they put back in the first or third-person battle thing again. I'm really happy about that as well. There's just a lot of little tweaks. And again, that's been what I've had fun with is fooling around with MV.